It's 2 o'clock.
Welcome to Soni Irabor Live. So this is Soni Irabor Live, and yes, our guest will join us very shortly. We're on Facebook Live, we're on Radio Live, and we'll be discussing a lot of issues regarding the woman, and I said in my promo, womanhood. And it has to do with a medical doctor who is also an author and who's indeed also, how would I put it? She's a social commentator as well. So, I'm going to, hello, doctor, are you on? Hello? Dr. Loretta, how are you?
I am on.
Good, you're on Radio Live. So what we're trying to do now is see how we can put your face on. Okay, can you see us on Facebook?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm fine. Good afternoon, Uncle Soni.
Good afternoon. How is the UK today? How is the UK today? Hello?
I can see you on Facebook, actually.
Okay, so we should invite you.
I can see you with your headset on Facebook.
Okay.
It is fine. It is fine.
Right. So you
It
can
is
see.
fine, sir. It is fine. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So we're trying to make things work so well. You can see me, so we can now invite her. Okay, so when you make the request, we'll put you on camera so that we can both be on. Because I had boasted that, man, this Facebook was going to be different. So, but anyway, while that is being done, let me introduce to you all my father's daughter, the author. An inspirational true story of a father and his daughter. And it's by Dr. Loretta OgboroOkor. I'm hearing myself. Okay, sorry. Dr. Loretta, can you put your phone? I'm hearing the feedback from you. Yeah, but I'm hearing the feedback, so I thought I was talking to myself. I didn't want it to go on air. So I hope it's not going on air. But can you put yourself on Facebook so that we can put you on, so that they can see your face?
So, can you still hear me?
I can hear you clearly, but I'm hearing your feedback. Anything I'm saying, I'm also hearing myself from your from your speaker.
Okay, that's probably because I'm trying to find you on Facebook, and
You found me before wearing the headphone.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the one you should be with us.
You just need to send me a request to join in with you on Facebook
Okay.
Live.
All right. I thought you should be the one sending us, but fine, they'll do that. So while we're doing that, let me now say that this lady is some woman who has managed to put a lot of things together in her life. Now, what am I saying? She's a medical doctor. She's been writing books. I think this is her second or third book. And then she's also been passing comments about the goings on in our society. So we found it a bit interesting that this is somebody who's an obstetrics and a gynecologist, yes, and that's ONG, they call it in medicine. And she does a lot of other things. She's also studied law. She has masters in law, criminal law for that matter. So, okay, she's a woman, married, she has children. How's she coping to put all of these together? She must be one human being that's exceptionally different from the rest of us. All right, but let me give an indication as to the kind of book we are talking about. For centuries, people have had the privilege to study and learn about the lives and times of men and women who have positively impacted and influenced our world. These are people who have each, in their own unique way, achieved success in family life, business, and other spheres of life. Their stories are sometimes centered on how they evolved to be who they are, their family genealogy, how they were raised to develop life skills and that enable them, how they overcome difficult situations. Most worthy of emulation is the ability of these individuals to accept their weaknesses and build a legacy for posterity. This is one of such stories. The book, My Father's Daughter, is a memoir of an inspirational story about Loretta and her father, Pa Richard of blessed memory. In these times when few men truly understand fatherhood, it is imperative that this exceptional story of a father and his daughter be shared with the rest of the world. And that's why we thought we should also share it with you too, our radio listeners and Facebook viewers. His words and teachings guided her through adversities, helped her make life's difficult choices, built rock-solid confidence in her, influenced her choice of spouse, and instilled moral values into her. Overall, he developed in her a unique character and an attitude to face life with a positive mindset. My Father's Daughter gives young women and men, adolescent girls and boys, the impetus for a great life as it does adults, fathers, mothers, guardians, or carers too, providing the toolkit for parenting excellence, and Loretta hopes to influence the youths, biological and non-biological parents, using the teachings from her beloved father and her life transformational experiences. My Father's Daughter sets out to do this in a never-before-written inspirational story to mentor and inspire not only the present generation, but also future generations. So, but Dr. Loretta, I have said so much because I read the back page of your book, My Father's Daughter. And this is Loretta Oduware Ogboro-Okor. Now, needless to ask you, what spurred you into writing the book the way you wrote it? Can you give us some experiences that will be notable? Yes, go ahead.
Uncle Soni, thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me today on Soni Irabor Live. And most importantly, I want to thank all those who take out time to join me on this very educative and enlightening section every week. You were introducing me and I was wondering, is he actually talking about me? But thank you for that. You see, I grew up. When I was growing up, I didn't realize that I was lucky because I thought that was the norm. It was not until I went to boarding school and I interacted with other people, came out of boarding school, that I started realizing that the way my dad was raising me was really, really exceptional. And sometimes in life, that is how it goes. When you have something, when you are within that thing, you don't know that that thing is unique. And today, knowing that I was going to have this interview with you, I actually went through the book again and said, there will be some very interesting bits that I'm going to read out. So knowing this later in life, I decided that if I was privileged to have had a man like Richard Harold Ogboro raise me and imbibe in me core values of life, then I should be magnanimous enough and kind enough to share this with the whole world. And that was what gave birth to this book. So it is my way of saying I want to give to society and mankind as a whole something that I was given, like a manual. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Very powerfully too. Sometimes when one looks at everything, let me take you back to when you were 12 years old. Did you see yourself as being knowledgeable enough, understanding enough to know what life's issues were?
So this is one of the things that also was unique with my growing up experience. My dad used to speak to me right from the very beginning. He used to talk to me like I was an adult like him, like I was at par with him. And I think without knowing it, that made me grow up real quick. And that made me have this sort of resonation with him that, I am able to question or interrogate things, reflect on them, and then make decisions on them. And it was so graded. It was so gradual that we didn't see it coming. But eventually, I can even remember as far back as the age of 4, I was allowed to reflect on things, interrogate it, and then make my own decisions. And then I was guided. So it wasn't a didactic parenting that I had. I had a sort of mentoring, a sort of guiding and guarding parenting that made the difference.
I like the way you choose your words.
Life.
I like the way you choose your words. Guiding and guarding. Now that's a very, very important set of words, To guide is to direct you. To guard is to protect you. And he did both. Now, you must have felt, so, should I say, you were living in an umbrella that did not leak water or heat. Didn't your mother, for example, wonder, hey, come on, why are you giving this guy such, attention when there are others? You're not the only child, are you?
No, I'm not the only child. And you see, I made this clear in the book, My Father's Daughter. My father, as at the time I was growing up, I jokingly said in the book that my father was a serial monogamist. So he had other wives. My mother was the last wife. So I had older siblings.
And
I can't.
Sorry, I'm laughing the way.
He was a very
serial
kind boy,
monogamist.
very handsome man.
That's a nice way to say polygamist, right? Oh my God.
You see, and I like to believe that he gave all of them the same attention he gave to me, or even more. Because growing up, my dad actually did for me what he did for all of us. But you see, like I wrote in my book as well, there are those who you mentor, who you tutor, who would soak everything like a sponge. And there are those who may not just take on things as well. So I think that he found in me a worthy learner and mentee. And we were all subjected to the same upbringing. my siblings and myself. At least I can speak for my mother's children.
Yes.
But you are right. We haven't all turned out the same way. And this is also something that we should all take away as human beings. We all have different learning pace. We all have different environments that may influence us later in future. But the important thing is that when you see light, do you recognize light? When you see an opportunity, do you recognize it? I think that's the most important thing we need to know. And that when we are able to have an inner recognition of what is right, then we can imbibe it fully.
Okay, right. Now, imbibing it fully in a setting that is serial monogamist, one would then look at, weren't you exposed, again, I'm deliberately asking these questions, to objections from, for example, other mothers? You know, because once you have a mother, right? There were other mothers.
Yes.
He was the main father. And there were other siblings,
yes.
the other children. So,
yes.
Didn't you get an objection from the others? Maybe the siblings may be envious because your father was paying too much attention to you. Or the mothers would also feel the same way, yeah?
When I say a serial monogamist,
yes,
that meant that my dad did not have more than one wife in the house at the same time.
Okay.
However, your question that you've asked is a very pragmatic question. There were times even my mother did not quite comprehend how he was raising us. She used to come out and say that if this girl turns out wrong, I'm going to be blamed. You are teaching her all the wrong things in society. Mm-hmm. You are trying to make her stand up for herself. You want to make her, my mom used to use a term, you say, you want to make her cover the pot of soup with a certificate. And I don't think that will be good enough because she will not find anybody who will marry her. Now, for my other siblings who I was in the house with, I remember growing up, there were times they would run to my dad and say, oh, Oduware, because that's what he called me. Oduware is not washing the plates, she's not tidying the house. And he will say, Oduware, go and tidy the house and wash the plates. So, and as soon as I do it, I run back and I come and sit down and I'm reading. And they say, oh, she's reading again. He says, leave her, let her study, let her read.
He was protective.
Yes, there were times when all those things used to happen.
Yeah, but he didn't make the mistake. He always made sure you were also working. Oduware, go and tidy up that place.
Yes.
Oduware, she's reading, let her read.
Yes. He always made that balance possible. He made sure something as simple as English language and Benin. My dad told us you have to speak Benin language in the house. You have a perfect command of English language. He will read these books to you in English, but he also wanted us to imbibe our culture. So he was a balanced striker. He had a way of making it happen. Let me use a real life experience from the book. There was a day my mom told me to go and boil yam or pounded yam for the house.
Okay.
And I went there, cut the yam off, put it on fire, and then I nicely added salt. Because to my mind, you have to put salt for taste. And God bless my mom. She came in and said, have you cut the yam? Have you put it on fire? And I said, oh, yes, I have, Mommy. And then she stopped and said, Uzume, you are. Translated, did you put salt? And I said, yes, Mommy. And that was the beginning of my end that day. She screamed. She called her ancestors. She called everybody. She beat me up. How can you put salt in the yam that is meant to be pounded? And I was wondering, why is this woman beating me? I just didn't understand. But I stoically took the beating, and then I apologized. My father came in and said, please stop hitting her. What is the problem? My mother said, oh, because she put salt in that. And my father said, do you know why you should not put salt? I said, Daddy, I don't know. She's just beating me, calling on her ancestors. And my father said, sit down, my daughter. You see, when you put sodium chloride in that yam, the molecules are going to be broken out because there's going to be a reaction. Wow. The yam is not going to
went that academic with you?
The yam is going to come out. Academics, science, chemistry, domestic chemistry lesson. So my daughter, this is why next time you don't put salt in the yam. meant to be pounded. And that stayed with me. I understood that. And next time I wasn't going to do that. Now compare that to my mother, who beat me all the while and never explained it. But you know what happened that day? My father said, look, I'm not going to eat pounded yam anymore. I want to eat boiled yam. And my mother said, you see, you are spoiling her. Now you know that this yam has been condemned. It can't be pounded. You are giving her a leeway out.
Can I ask you a question?
And then she said she won't find anybody to marry her. My father said, anybody who wants to marry my daughter and thinks he is looking for a cook should look elsewhere. But that doesn't mean that if my daughter finds a man who has pleased her and she wants to cook for him every day of the week and twice on Sunday, that she can't do that. She can't do that. But for her to be married because she subserves the purpose of the cook will be wrong. She'll be married because of who she is and what she is and what she brings to the table. And that stuck in my mind.
Okay, now.
That was very empowering.
Yes. But there's a question I need to ask you here. You were caught between your parents, your mother and your father. Did you grow to hate your mother because she beat you up?
No, I didn't actually. I think because of the enlightening way in which my dad also raised me. I began to understand the difference between my mother and my father and appreciate each for who they were and what they stood for. My mom was 30 years younger than my dad. Ooh. And my mom was not having as many certificates or being exposed to the foreign world like my dad. So I knew that if I wanted the local Osayomori music, I would go to my mom. And then I knew that if I wanted Beethoven or Mozart, I had to go to my father. For me, I was just privileged to have a holistic and rounded upbringing because of these two very different people and their own different upbringing. They sort of brought the two to merge into me. My mother's ways were fine. And I think she sort of balanced out those other children who felt very unhappy. Because she made sure that the domestic work was shared. I couldn't run and hide in the toilet with my books all day. She was like the police who made sure that I did my fair share. But today I'm very grateful to my mom, Uncle Soni, because there is no food on the planet that she can cook that she didn't make me learn how to cook.
So you are a well-rounded cook.
I am very rounded. Very, very rounded, thanks to her.
You were about to say something, but today?
I don't despise her. I never did because I understood the difference. I'm sure if I wasn't raised to interrogate things and processes and understand things, I may not have been able to, and I may have had some sort of hatred. But I just realized that they were her methods. And over time, I've told her, Mommy, those methods never really worked because you made us fear you, and fear does not equate respect.
So what did she say to that?
She started laughing.
Like I'm doing now. Okay, I'm going to take you fast forward to surviving societal stereotypes. But before I do that, let me ask you a question regarding how men, irrespective of where you come from, choose their spouses, wives. For example, how will if I want to get married in my early years, say I'm 25 or 30, I want to marry a woman, say, from Igbo land, what should I say? What will be my expectations? What will be your advice to such young people?
How men choose their spouses is very dependent on how those men have been raised. And it's not just men and women, vice versa. How they've been raised, what values have been imbibed into them. It doesn't, yes, culture, tradition, and beliefs colors how we see life, yes. But what is deposited into you is what we eventually create what you value and in what currency you reason in. When I say you, this is third person plural.
Yes, okay, understood.
So,
yeah.
So that means that if I am raised, for instance, to appreciate another human being for who they are, okay, and what they stand for, then I see them as human. I don't see the periphery that comes with it first and foremost. And those peripheries are, one, how handsome they are, how much money is in their bank account, and what value.
Yeah,
what
but that's dictating
gains.
that's dictating the pace of society today, isn't it? People have to
That
look
is
at
the
your
pace of
pocket,
society.
your wherewithal, and all of that before you are even accepted by either the family or even the girl.
That is the pace of society worldwide, not just even in Nigeria where we come from. People, I find, are very, very superficial. People are very, very moved by things that they see. That's not what it should be. That's not how I was raised. And Uncle Soni, I'm sure you've often heard me say before that I don't want to be called doctor. I don't want titles attached to my name.
Yeah, but that's who you are. That's what you do.
Time that as a society, we just increase the dichotomy. We increase the gaps without knowing it. We should try and close the gaps. We should try. I'm not trying to say people should disrespect people. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But a situation where someone walks in and as a child, you are standing, you are even told that you shouldn't comment when these people are speaking. What happens is that you go out in the world and you are unnerved. Your confidence has been eroded. So if that kind of person is seeking for a life partner, they'll probably be looking for someone who they too can boss over without knowing it. It's already in their subconscious. You know, because of how they've grown up. But if you grew up in an environment where you were seen as an equal, you will be looking for an equal in the union that you are going into.
Yeah.
You will not be looking for subservience. You know, and these are very important things we need to teach our boy child and our girl child.
But from what you're saying, we've lost grounds, haven't we? We've lost a lot of grounds because most of the boys and the girls have grown up in their parallels. You know, the girls, you know, well, the Igbo girl would want to better her academic life and be worthy of something in her life. The Igbo boy, this is a general belief. I'm not trying to quote verbatim. I'm just trying to say some people believe that the Igbo boy, there are those that go to school and they're doing very well and they are really proving themselves around the world. So are other Nigerians. But there are also those who are so adept in business naturally that they don't want to go to school anyway. They just want to do that business and be okay for it. Now, what kind of advice would you give Nigerians, irrespective of where you're from, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, Edo, wherever you're from? What would you advise a young man aspiring to marry a young woman? What should he expect in life, and how should he behave?
I will tell the young man exactly what my father told me, which is to seek out people for who they really are. Seek out people. Seek out a woman who has confidence. Seek out a woman who can stand in for you when you are not there. If you are running a business, let us take an Igbo man who is running a business, for instance. We want a woman who will be able to facilitate that business running as well, not somebody who is not able to add much. And the truth is that when you are seeking out a life partner, what is most important is seek out your own cheerleader as well. Someone who sees you for you, who would applaud and reason with you. Now, the thing people don't really realize is that person who has the courage to say, this thing you are doing, let's reason it from first principles. Oh, okay, this is good, but I don't think this is very good. Explain to me, why are you taking this pathway? And you review it together, and maybe sometimes you now modify what you want to do. That person is a lot more suited for you than someone else who you come and tell things, and all they say is yes, yes, yes. The reason is because that other person stimulates you and causes you to reflect. That other person gives to you a measure of what makes you accountable for your actions. And in life, each and every one of us, we need these things. So don't base your union on just, how pretty is the person, oh, we are from the same church, we are from the same tribe, the same religion. Those things, yes, they may matter and count. But first of all, who is this person? Seek to know the person. Because when all else will fade away, what is going to remain is that person and what that person stands for. And I'm tempted, Uncle Soni, to read something from the
please.
book here.
Do that. Go ahead.
At this point.
Yes.
Just to rebut what you have asked me on page 24.
24, right?
This was for those who have it depends on the copy you have. If you have the Amazon copy, it may differ a bit. But for those who have heard me speak before, I did speak of how I was bullied in primary school and how my dad came and said, no, don't let anybody bully you. So this is just after one of those episodes in school when he came and said, I read there, every day my father would spare a few minutes asking me how school was and reinforcing how wonderfully made and intelligent I am before we started our academic exercises of school assignments and reading. He also kept his word and was always at school early to pick me up as soon as the closing bell went. What was more, he got me a fountain pen too at that age. That was magical. Everybody wanted to be my friend and touch my shiny new pen. No other person in the whole school had a fountain pen. Even when it got stolen twice, my father replaced it. He told me he expected anything perceived to be the tool of my newfound confidence to be stolen, and he got 3 just in case.
Why
my
did you...
dear daughter, he said.
Okay. Go on.
The pen is just a fringe benefit to reward you for being a good and hard-working child. Call it reinforcement tool if you wish. The key thing, and this is what I want people to take away, the key thing is for you to understand that your confidence lies within you. You are the one that decides and directs what can affect you, not those around you. Once you are able to do that, you become very secure in your own skin. The reason is simple, my daughter. No one can ever steal what lies within you, my daddy said. Gradually, I developed confidence and self-esteem the size of a cathedral, something some persons would come to find repulsive and others would find attractive about me. More importantly, a trait I would come to love and utilize in negotiating my life's journey. My father had given me a rock-solid foundation that can never be eroded. I am my father's daughter, and I'm unapologetic about it.
It appears you used to end every sentence with that. I am my father's daughter, and I'm unapologetic about it. Did your father deliberately single you out because he perceived that he had in you the outcome of a child he would want to be proud of? You think so?
I don't think my dad deliberately singled me out. My dad used to treat all of my mother's children the way he treated me. I think what happened was that I took an uncanny liking and addiction to things that other children my age did not find exciting or interesting. Because, my dad was about 60 odd years by the time he had me. And how many children would want to really sit down and be chatting with a 60-year-old man? It's not very many. So I think I also gave a few things. So he gave us all a similar template, but I think I just latched on.
I'm glad that you took the bull by the horn. That's what you did. You latched on, but you were bold enough to identify the need for that, and you took it up. Okay, let's now look at the very many things you eventually did, and let me quickly start saying thank you to Pamela Mojeku, Amanda Kebi Okoye, who was my guest somewhere 2 weeks ago or so, Papa T from the US, and Monsieur Samoyi, my sister. I'm thanking you all because you are on Facebook watching us. And those of you who are expecting to see Loretta Oduware on Facebook, I don't know why she's not been able to join, but please, Loretta, try and see if you can do it again. But anyway, you're busy talking and they can hear you. Now, let me ask you something. Your medical years, and then, of course, other things that you did in life. Could you please identify to me how you were able to connect all of these demands in such a way that you were able to finish your medical school, you eventually got married, we'll talk about that very shortly, but then you started writing. When did you start writing, by the way?
Oh, I started writing very early as a child. I think my first manuscript I gave to my dad when I was about 12 or 11.
Oh.
But that manuscript never saw the light of day because I don't know what happened. but suffice it to say that all through my secondary school days, from JS1 to SS3, I wrote essays at national and international level. And I was fortunate enough to either come first or second in all of those national essays.
Okay.
And it gave me a lot of exposure. Being in a federal school, I traveled a lot because I won those competitions.
Okay.
And that was one of the beauties of being in a unity school at the time. So I really started writing very, very early in life. Very early. And to your question, how I navigated my way through medical school.
Yeah.
I think
I was expecting some kind of influence that would probably have tested your resolve.
Yes. When my dad moved on to, when he translated on to glory, when I lost my dad, I called that when the bubble bursted. So at that time, we had palpable silence. All the people around us at the time, because of my dad, were nowhere to be seen. Relatives were gone. And here I was in med school. I didn't even have money to pay school fees. Wow. It was that bad. And these are children that have been raised in affluence. But my father pampered us. He raised us, we didn't lack. And here I was, I couldn't pay my school fees. What was I going to do? And that was when we had all these very good and nice relatives come round. It was a time when Italy and traveling to Italy was very fashionable. And they came and said, to my mother, you have all these daughters. Oh God, this is beautiful avenue for you to make money. Send them to Europe. And then we had all those who also came and brought their brothers who they thought were God's gift to womankind, and saying, come and marry my brother, come and marry my uncle, XYZ. Now, through all of these, what kept me going was knowing that resolve my father had planted in me that said I could do anything by myself. At the end of the day, I didn't need to go into prostitution. I didn't need to sell myself at the time, and I persevered. For many days I would go hungry, but nobody would see it on my face. And I was fortunate enough to have people, there are still good men and women in this world, Uncle Soni. There still are. And there were people who came to my rescue then and took me to places to say, oh, please, can we sponsor this girl? A lot of the time, you go to 10 places, not one person would even listen. And I don't want to mention names on air. But what kept me through those times were my father's words, his voice, saying, my daughter, you know whose child you are. You do not compromise. And a particular incident was when somebody who eventually gave me scholarship through medical school, a well-placed politician, eventually turned around and showed me bags of money. Ghana must go. And said, you will have all this money if you can only sleep with me. Uncle Soni, I wasn't angry with him. I was sad. I was sad because I thought, oh, here was one good one, towing the line of the others as well. And I just said, you know what, I can't do this, but it's okay. I thank you for the money. I thank you for your help. And I walked out. So through all those times, if I didn't have the foundation that I had, I think I may have caved in. And this is why I keep telling people, unfortunately, you and I are from Edo State, and we know that trafficking became a hydra head.
In fact, it was a bad image for us, yes.
Yes, to change that, we need to change the mindset of our people. and let them realize that there is no shortcut to success. There's no get-rich-quick medicine. That in Europe, you don't pick money from the streets. That we need to work for what we have, and we need to empower our girl children and our boy children. When I say empower, it's not just educational and certificates.
Okay.
What I'm saying is,
yes,
are you a plumber? Are you a hairdresser?
make the best of what you do, right?
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, we've really overshot because people are supposed to phone us. I'm going to give them a chance to call so that they can ask you a few questions. But then also bear in mind you studied criminal law up to master's degree level. You're a medical doctor, an ONG, and you have time to write books, and you're a social commentator. You said you are a social entrepreneur, something like that. Now, please, as you put all these together, let me quickly let the world know that the number is 0700 923 923 923. And comments from Facebook, please feel free to send your comments. Let me finally ask you, Loretta, when did you have time to do parallel degrees? Because that's what I'll call them, not just double degrees. There's already a caller on the line. When did you have time? Can we take this call while you ruminate on that? Hello? Hello? Hello, good afternoon. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, how are you? Good afternoon.
I'm fine.
Yes, go ahead,
I'm
please.
Wale Adenaya,
Okay.
calling from Abuja.
Abuja?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Am I on to Uncle Soni Live?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I want to thank your guest, Mrs. Loretta.
Thank you.
Her use of language is superb. And she has shared one experience with us, especially as it affects the bringing up the children. What that really got me laughing. She added the yam.
Yes, that she put salt.
The yam.
You're right. Okay.
I was on with my Facebook.
Yeah.
I had to listen to the online version of your radio station.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Okay. Next.
Yes,
Yeah. I'll take the next call. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you? What's your name?
Communicate from Otta Farm.
Otta Farm. Okay. Go ahead.
I thank you again.
Thank you.
I'm emotionally disappointed. It happened to us when we lost our parents, sir. Nobody helped us. My 3 sisters did not enter into prostitution. Hello?
Yeah, can hear you.
We are doing farm in village. Me and my senior brother in uniform, we are carrying block. My senior brother is a graduate now. I have ONG certificate for naked for marketing. The junior one also have ONG for mass communication. The second daughter is a lab technician, but died the last month. When she went to collect NIN and slump and died because of false NIN registration in a pandemic.
Sorry to hear that.
So, God help us, my sisters. They surprised me. No man fuck up with no man mess up with them. Now we are feeling fine. So it's not necessary that because of family death, maybe the women will not be doing prostitution or the men will not be doing hand robbery. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Next call. Okay, this is another person from Facebook. Okay, Anne Fumi Fatusin says, kudos to this lady for sharing her story. Good discipline goes a long way. One has to be truly grounded because there are so many temptations out there. Thank you so much. That's a very reflective statement. Another call. Hello. We lost that. Okay, Loretta, you heard people are already, now Facebook is alive because we are trying to get the hang of it and phone calls are blaring. Did you hear some of the comments so far? Loretta?
Yes, I heard the man from Otta.
Yes.
Who said they too lost their parents very early. And I can actually relate with what he said.
Okay.
Also, I heard what you read that was very reflective from Anne on Facebook.
Yes.
And she's right. We all need to be grounded. The caller from Abuja was the one I didn't hear very well.
Okay, actually,
the first caller.
First, he loved your use of language. You know, yes.
Thank you.
And he was quite happy that you were well grounded. And now I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember verbatim what everything.
Yeah.
So, but he really was praising everything you said and stood for, and I was quite happy about that too. Hello.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, another caller. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
This is Soni Irabor Live Radio. Inspiration Radio. How are you?
I'm fine.
What's your name?
My name is Femi.
Femi, okay, go ahead, please.
I'm calling from Lagos.
Yes, go ahead.
I guess some fathers are still like that. I share the same experience with that lady. It's exactly the way my father raised me. Exactly. When I state all these things on Facebook, people feel I paint things outside the normal. But some fathers are still like that. I'm proud to share that kind of father with that lady over there.
Thank you so much.
We should extend that to the coming generation. Those of us that had such background should ensure that our children also enjoy such opportunities.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Okay, another caller. Hello.
Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Right. Loretta, let's now look at how did you stumble into law? Criminal law, for that matter.
Thank you, Uncle Sonny, and thank you to the last caller. That was very, very, very humbling.
Okay.
My background, like you know, it's medicine, and initially, actually, when I started, I wanted to be an architect. But my dad was very unwell at the time I was going to uni, and then I decided, okay, I'll go back to medicine. I think because he was a public health consultant.
Okay.
So I went back to medicine. But when I got to England, I thought I was very keen. I wanted to do research. So I studied public health research. And then as a doctor, Uncle Sonny, what most people don't know is that many of us are teachers. We teach the younger generation of doctors, albeit by apprenticeship, but we do. So I decided that if I was doing anything, I should be very good at it. So I went and did a master's in clinical education. And then I decided that at this point, I need to have a hang on what's happening in my own locale at those states and the menace that has sort of haunted us. So I decided to do work in trafficking, human trafficking and contemporary slavery. And that took me to the region of law and criminology. So I'm currently doing a PhD in law and criminology. And I think it's just the way my mind works. Learning is lifelong. I knew that since when I sat at the feet of my dad. And, you know, I've just carried on.
Well, we are also learning from you, if you must know. I mean, I'm in school now, just from the way you are talking. You used the phrase earlier, you said it's humbling. I must tell you, it is humbling. Because when I listen to my children speak, how intellectual they sound, I honestly feel proud, you know. But maybe what I did not quite achieve, and I think me and my wife, we did the best we could, but they went further to dig and dig. They kept digging, you know, wanting to know more about life, wanting to know more about the things they set out to understand. And all those things, they come a long way. And you are now putting into perspective what my father's daughter, this is the book for those of you who are looking at it, my father's daughter really means. And by the way, your father is very handsome. This picture is something else.
Yes, Uncle Son, he's a fine boy. I used to tell him that he was such a fine boy. He passed that on to us as well, you see. Nature was kind to us.
What message will you leave for Nigerians? We still have about 9 minutes to go. What message will you leave for Nigerians? I'm not rushing you off. I just want us to think. Because the way Nigeria is today, everybody is thinking about himself. Everybody is saying my tribe, my ethnic group needs to be given a pride of place. Nobody's thinking about the common good of the country. And right now, everybody is afraid that Nigeria will soon go into some kind of stupid war that we didn't plan for and we have no reason to believe in. What you're looking in from outside, what do you hear out there, and what do you advise Nigerians about this kind of threat?
So for me, I would want to leave Nigerians with the message which is in the epilogue of my book. Mm-hmm. Because after writing this book, I actually related it to the macro society.
Okay.
And I'll read that out. I say here that my father awoke my consciousness to question his authority. If you have a copy of the book, I think probably be on page 93.
The pages are not exactly the same. That's why I let you read it.
Yeah,
the one from Amazon is different.
Just read it first.
Yeah, epilogue. Okay.
Yeah, because I think you got. Yeah.
This one is number 111. Yes, go
on. Okay. He submerged my docility and very subtly ignited a vibrancy that he also enabled me to modulate appropriately. To question or interrogate ideas, ideals, processes, or systems does not equate disobedience. Rather, it is an indicator or an outcome measure of the engagement of individuals with the social-cultural and economic environment, a reflection of the vibrancy of followership. A critical examination of this concept using my story so far as a case study is what I urge every reader to reflect on. This will enable an assessment at the primary unit of society, which is the home or the family, and compare this with what happens in a macro society. What we find is that the negative effects are similar. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that if you grow up in a home where you are able to, daddy comes home at 10 midnight, and you are saying, daddy, why do you always come home at 10 midnight? And daddy settles down and says, I come home at 10 midnight because my daughter, I work shift, I close at 9.
So he explains it to you. I get home,
it's 10. He explains it to you. And you now say, okay, that's why. Or daddy then says, I come home at 10 midnight because I close by 5 and I go to beer parlor and I drink with the boys till 10. He explains it to you. Either way, the explanation may not be palatable, but he explains it to you. What that does
and he doesn't
for
take
daddy
it,
is that it causes daddy.
Yeah, he doesn't take it as if you are fighting with him. Yeah, exactly.
No, it doesn't take it that. Yes, it causes daddy to reflect. And what that does for you is that you then get an answer. You have held your leadership accountable, and your leadership has responded. You see, in Nigeria of today, we need as a followership to arise and be vibrant and be able to hold our leaders accountable at all levels, Uncle Soni, and everybody listening, starting from the home, because the home is the unit of society.
Absolutely.
If we cannot ask our sons where they are getting their new flashy cars from, then we don't have the audacity to question the local government chairman. And if the local government people cannot question their chairman and say, why don't we have potable water, then they really don't have the audacity to question Buhari. So we need, and if you look at the economies and societies that work, they work because followership is alive and vibrant and is able to hold leadership accountable.
How? Wow, you so put it so nicely that I'm getting goosebumps on my skin. The camera cannot see that. But you know what? The thing that Nigeria is going through right now is an erosion of some of the many things and qualities you've talked about without itemizing them one after the other. You know, in my early days, we went through school and they taught us in primary school and secondary school civics. And in secondary school, they taught us fundamental human rights. Because then I knew the importance of how I can actually fight for my rights, and I would be okay. So, I think what I should say, Loretta, is that Nigeria is going through a stage that requires every Nigerian to reflect on self and begin to think, as somebody just said here now, this Anne again, said John F. Kennedy said, ask not what you think you can do for your country, but what the country can, ask not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Can do for your country.
And that's how leadership should talk. Leadership should be reflective and carrying people along and letting them understand that they have a role to play. But what we are seeing here is that we attack one another and there's always trouble on the horizon. Right now,
yes, sir,
Nigeria is a pariah state. I pray that we don't get overboard. I pray we will be able to escape and break loose from the enemy that appears to be coming towards us. What's your message for the young girls who are coming? Your message for the young
girl who is coming, my message is simple. I want them to be themselves, to have confidence in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to realize that they are the only ones who can make things happen or make things not happen.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be able to look inwards and know that they can get to where they are going to without being in the shadow of anything or anyone. That they are all fearfully and wonderfully made and unique. There's a parable where I come from in Edo State. It says, so simply put, that means that the firefly lights up the place for others. How much more on the day the firefly's mother has cooked a very sumptuous meal? So that means that if you can cheer others on, you need to first be your own cheerleader. You need to accept and take responsibility for your failures. Reflect on them. They are not failures. They are just you learning from life. And then for your successes, be thankful for them and always seek to improve. You're the only one who has the right to paint your own life manuscript on your own canvas. Do not paint another person's picture.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Loretta Oduware Ogboro-Okor. Where's your husband from?
My husband is Isoko. We like to say he's half caste because his mother is Asaba as well.
Okay.
So he's Isoko and Asaba. He's a Delta state of Nigeria.
Very good, very good. I have a bit of that in me. Okay. Now, all right, as we say bye-bye, it's a few seconds to the hour. I want to thank you so much, Loretta. And I really am sorry again that we didn't have your camera on. I don't know whether it's from your end. It was funny. We were ready for you.
I don't know. I think I have a whole technical crew working here to try and put it on. I don't know what happened. I apologize to you and everybody else.
We've been struggling with time forever. So from here, in fact, since this year began, when I said we will be doing Facebook Live, we've been trying to perfect it. And the nearer we get there, the better it might be for us. So thank you, Loretta. I'll call you Dr. Loretta Oduware Ogboro-Okor. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
And for all of you out there, I want to thank you. Facebook, thank you. Inspiration FM, thank you. And the rest of the world, thank all of you. It's been fantastic being with you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
God bless you all.
It's 3 o'clock. 92.3, your number one family radio.
Use your mask properly.